What's up, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. We have to talk about the Cincinnati Reds embarrassing themselves in front of the entire baseball community, which is weird to say because they just offered Kyle Schwarber a contract. But quickly after Schwarber signed with the Phillies, rumors about the contract offer from the Reds came out, and honestly, they're pathetic and embarrassing, so we got to talk about that. We also have an update on Skubal. The GM of the Tigers just said that no one on his roster is untouchable. That means that Skubal, he could be traded soon. Holy sh! As I was recording the intro, okay, I gotta redo the entire cadence and pacing of this video. Trust me, we're still gonna go off on the Reds and talk about the smaller stories in today's recap, but Pete Alonso, as I was recording, just signed what is it? Hold on, Jeff Passan just tweeted, I just gotta make sure I see it and read it correctly, a 5-year deal worth $155 million with the Baltimore Orioles. So in back-to-back days, Mets fans are getting crushed. Fan favorite faces of the franchise have left. First it was Edwin Diaz, now it's Pete Alonso. I literally just FaceTimed my guy Draftnik Mark before I started recording this because again, the first version of this video was essentially done when this news broke. I just wanted to make sure that he was alive and well. That video is going to be a banger. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Draftnik Mark, but holy Pete Alonso, almost $160 million for 5 years. So what's 155 divided by 5? Hold on. That is $31 million a year. A lot of people were thinking that Pete Alonso was not going to get to a 5th year. He was going to have to hover around 3 to 4 years with potentially a higher AAV, maybe $33-ish million. But no, he's getting $31 million for the next 5 years. The Baltimore Orioles are stacked. This is awesome. I can't believe I'm even saying this out loud. The Baltimore Orioles are spending money. What's funny is I'm going to go off on the Reds later and talk about the real issue with the game of baseball that cheap owners don't spend. I probably could have factored in the Orioles in that discussion. They deserve praise. The Orioles have consistently been dumpster fire franchises when it comes to spending money, and they did it. This is so sick. This is how we fix the game of baseball. Telling teams like the Orioles, the Guardians, the Rays, dish it out. Stop pretending that you don't have any money to spend and that you're limited to $5 to $10 million of free agency like the Reds. That's what we're going to rant about when it comes to the Reds later. They went from, we're going to spend a lot of money to now the rumors are they have $10 million at their disposal. Nah, F that. You can be the Orioles as well. Go get a superstar first baseman. This is awesome. Good job. Hey, one more. I'm fired up right now for Orioles fans because they deserve this. I mean, on paper, the Orioles can now go something like Jackson Holliday. Then at the 2 spot, you have Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, Adley, Rutschman. Then you have protection now for Adley and Taylor Ward. Dylan Beavers, he showcased a lot of talent as well. You could go maybe Dylan Beavers at the 7 or Colton Cowser at the 7, Beavers at the 8 with a Samuel Basallo in there as well. Not to mention that they still have a Tyler O'Neill. Jeremiah Jackson showcased a lot of skill as well. They have a Ryan Mountcastle. Maybe they can flip him for a pitcher or two. They have a Heston Kjerstad, Kobe Mayo. This unlocks so many trade opportunities for a Baltimore Orioles team that is they've been on the rise for quite some time. And isn't there a stat where they haven't won a playoff game in decades or something like that? They're 0 for their last 8 or 0 for their last 12 in playoff appearances. This is a slam dunk move, and I am so excited for Orioles fans. This gets me hyped up as a Guardians fan, a fan of a small market team. It's possible. You can go spend money. You just have to freaking do it. I have not been this hyped up about a team that isn't my own in who knows how long. This is so good for the game of baseball heading into the lockout, which is probably going to happen. This gets me, I'm feeling good right now. I want to go run a mile. All right, now we're going to get back to the video. I basically finished recording right before this news broke, and before I actually get into that, Mets fans, I am so sorry. My condolences. Like, I'm actually devastated for you right now. Maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is that missing out on a Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso frees up over $200 million. Maybe you can go get Kyle Tucker, put him in right field, and save Juan Soto from ever playing right field ever again because he looks like a newborn baby dinosaur out there. He is terrible defensively. Get him in left field, go get Kyle Tucker, and with that move, honestly, you can maybe save a bit of dignity for the rest of this offseason. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's recap, the bigger stories, I do want to talk about a few small updates, including the fact that the White Sox, they have officially secured the #1 overall pick for 2026 via the lottery system. And one funny / also kind of sad thing about this lottery system is that the Rockies, who have been historically bad over the last few years, yet again miss out on the #1 overall pick. They're picking 10th in 2026. So a lot of Rockies fans and small market fans are saying that this system needs to get changed, that the lottery system is not the way to go about it, while other fans are literally pointing and laughing at the Rockies like, you can't be the Astros of the past. You guys remember back in the day where the Astros, they tanked over and over and over to get guys like Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman and Carlos Correa. The Rockies can never have that happen to them because it's all randomly based via a lottery. So even if you tank like the Rockies and you're historically bad season after season, you might not even get a top 5 pick, which honestly I think is both hilarious and sad at the same time. But if you're a Rockies fan, honestly, I'm going to say this for you. I hope that Mr. Monfort sells the team, or that you guys stop going to games and stop enabling this man, because his pockets have been lined with free money because Coors Field is too pretty not to go to, but that also hurts the team because you're helping the owner and he doesn't spend the money. Moving on, we know that Dodgers fans as well as Mets fans usually don't have an issue with their front office spending money because they kind of have unlimited funds. Now, we have an update on the Dodgers and the Mets when it comes to Edwin Diaz. We just saw Edwin Diaz leave the Mets. He's taking his trumpets to LA, which, by the way, the organist for the Dodgers, the guy who plays that little piano, he posted a video yesterday on Twitter of him playing Edwin Diaz's walkout song with the trumpets on his little organ, and it felt a little too soon, I'm not gonna lie.
Turn it off!
LA might set off earthquake detectors when Edwin Diaz comes out for the first time because it's going to be complete mayhem. But the update about Edwin Diaz is that allegedly he was kind of annoyed that the Mets did not inform him that they were signing Devin Williams, and then the Mets later admitted that signing Devin Williams kind of hurt the chances of bringing back Edwin Diaz. So there's kind of a coin flip to this. Half of Mets fans are pretty much saying, he was a free agent, we don't owe him any explanations, he can go do what he wants, we're going to do what we want. And then the other side of the coin are Mets fans saying, we owe him a little bit of respect. He's Edwin Diaz, the best closer, if not a top 3 closer in all of baseball, at least for the last half decade. I know that he kind of stunk it up back in 2019 and the WBC thing happened and a lot of people called him selfish. And then there was the sticky stuff situation. So some Mets fans are not giving Edwin Diaz any grace and saying that he's petty for just leaving to the Dodgers because the Mets gave Devin Williams a ton of money. But honestly, I feel like if you are the Mets front office, you probably should at least keep Edwin Diaz in the loop. But then again, maybe that means you don't have as much leverage. So what do you guys make of this update with Edwin Diaz not being informed that the Mets were signing Devin Williams and then choosing to kind of be petty and go to the Dodgers? If you want to call it petty, it might not even be petty. 3 more small little updates before I go off on the Cincinnati Reds. I still can't believe that this even came out about them. We have 2 stories about the Tigers. One, they're bringing back Kyle Finnegan, so Tigers fans are going to hear a lot of Finnegan is in again, at least for the next 2 years, unless he's traded, which I think is likely. Kyle Finnegan is getting almost $20 million to go back to the Tigers after they kind of fixed him. Now, I need to add a little bit of context to that last statement. They fixed him because he didn't look fixed in the playoffs, but after he was acquired from the Nationals, he put up a 1.5 ERA in 16 games with 23 strikeouts and 18 innings. He went from a 7.4 strikeouts per 9 to the Nationals to an 11.5 strikeouts per 9 with the Tigers, and he dropped the walks, the home runs per 9, and the hits per 9 basically got cut in half, but again, it was an 18 innings, so maybe too small of a sample size to trust. And then you look at the playoffs, he wasn't very good. He didn't have the strikeouts. He walked a few guys as well. So the Tigers, they're crossing their fingers that they can get the regular season version of Finnegan, not playoff version. Staying with the Tigers, I cannot believe that this is even a quote that is real life. I'm going to be honest when I say that. Scott Harris, the GM of the Tigers, said that no one on his squad is untouchable or unmovable, something like that. He said that he owes it to the franchise to make the right move if it's presented to him and that no one is untouchable. And my first thought was, could you imagine if Chris Antonetti, the GM of the Tigers, said this about his squad, that no one's untouchable, meaning you can come get Jose Ramirez, or even Brian Cashman saying the same thing. You can come get Aaron Judge if the price is right. I understand his thesis that I'm trying to be a responsible mover of pieces, and if the right deal is presented to me for a guy who's about to be a free agent, I'm going to make that deal. But there should be an extension done in place already. He's a back-to-back Cy Young winner. Come on. The rumors have suggested that the Tigers and Tarek are hundreds of millions of dollars apart, which is just disgusting. It's pathetic, which reminds me, I do have to talk about the Reds, so let's do that. Actually, one more story. Super quick, Gregory Soto, he is going to the Pirates on a 1-year deal, so that's really all I have to say about that. He's a strikeout artist when he's not walking guys. He's really good when he's on. He's terrible when he's not. Because we just brought up the Pirates, we know that they made an offer for Kyle Schwarber, just like the Cincinnati Reds, which is a perfect segue to me. I gotta eviscerate the Reds right now. All right, let's get into the weeds of today's video. You guys might be asking, Fuzzy, what did the Reds do for you to be so annoyed at them? They literally just tried to sign Kyle Schwarber. They offered him 4 or 5 years at 120 or 130 plus, maybe even 150 plus $1 million. We don't know the exact details, but an attempt was made. So it's like, yeah, they tried to go get Kyle Schwarber. They're really gonna try this free agency, but it came out, again, this is alleged, take it with a grain of salt, but Kyle Schwarber was the only person that they would actually move the needle for. They're now back to having $5 to $10 million to spend this free agency. A team that made the playoffs, is littered with young talent, is opening up their wallets and checkbooks for a measly $5 to $10 million. You might as well just give your fan base the middle fingers and spit in their face. That's basically what they just did by going for Kyle Schwarber, hyping up the fan base that, oh my God, we're going for it, only to find out that they were only going for Kyle Schwarber because he's a hometown kid and they believed that he would drive ticket sales. That's what these owners do. These guys are the real reason why baseball is being ruined, in air quotes. It is not the Dodgers, it is not the Mets, it is teams like the Reds, the Guardians, the Rockies. The Rays are actually spending a little bit of money, so I'm going to tip my cap to them, but usually the Rays are in the same discussion where they are bottom feeders when it comes to spending. They try and steal talent in trades, they try and get under the radar projects and fix them throughout the season and then flip them for a few more prospects, but they're doing all of this without spending any money. And that's the real problem in baseball. That's why a salary floor would be cool, but then again, a salary floor probably means a salary cap, and I don't know if a salary floor would fix the core issue of bad owners, because then you look at the contract that Luis Severino was given, and we essentially know that because Fisher moved the A's to Vegas, he was about to get a grievance filed against them, and essentially the other owner said, you have to spend money, we're going to give you a pseudo salary floor, and if you don't hit that, we're going to sue you. So he overpaid for Luis Severino, and I feel like that would just happen more often with the salary floor. They would overpay for middle-of-the-road guys just to say, all right, I did my job, what do you want from me? I met the floor, get off my back. So this recent story about the Reds willing to dish out money for Kyle Schwarber to drive up ticket sales, but once he went back to the Phillies, they said, all right, we're out of the free agency market. It's just another example of the core issue, the main issue with Major League Baseball. It's bad owners and cheap owners not willing to reinvest their dollars or go get loans because they're so afraid that they won't be able to sell the team in the future if they defer money and essentially put a mortgage on their squad. It drives me crazy that people have been brainwashed that the Dodgers or the Blue Jays or any of the other teams in baseball that spend hundreds of $1 million are the real villains. I don't understand it. Like, you guys have brains. You don't let yourself be manipulated by a bunch of rich owners. Like, I hate to say this, but you're bootlicking. You're actually bootlicking and believing that the Dodgers are doing things that no other team in baseball can. But Fuzzy, the Dodgers are owned by a bank. They have an infinite money glitch. It's basically GTA 5 where you enter in up-down code, you get unlimited money. Guys, the Tigers are about to trade away Tarek Skubal, even though their owner Lilich is one of the wealthiest owners in all of baseball. But Fuzzy, it's not liquidity. He's wealthy on paper. He has a lot of stocks. He doesn't have just infinite liquid cash to spend. Dude, come on, man. Come on, guys. You're smarter than that. Fuzzy, you're smarter than that, too. There's a big discrepancy in local TV money. The Dodgers are, again, making infinite money in local TV deals. Well, they're splitting that with other teams, and then those other teams pocket the money instead of reinvesting it into players. Come on! Like, some of you guys actually believe that even if there was a rule that Major League Baseball implemented that the Dodgers had to share 90% of their TV money, that you really think that the Reds owner or the A's or the Rays, the Guardians owner would use that extra money on players. No, they would use it on ballpark enhancements. They would use it to pay off their own debt. They would use it to build restaurants outside of the stadium. All they're trying to do is increase their ROI, and it doesn't have anything to do with putting talent on the field and trying to win a World Series. They're just making their pockets fatter, and they're giving the impression that they're trying when they're really not. I know I'm probably going to offend some of you with my choice of words and framing in this video in regards to what I think is the biggest issue in baseball, and I'm sorry if I've come across as disrespectful, but at this point, it's a matter of just being commonsensical. If you truly in your heart believe that the owner of the Tigers or the owner of the A's or the owner of the Guardians had more money that they would literally spend it only on players, I mean, I'll tip my cap to you. You have reached a level of delusion that is almost admirable, because that is completely false. Bad owners will continually badly own if they're allowed to. So for me, how to fix this: if you have losing seasons for 5 to 6 years in a row and you've shown that you're not willing to increase payroll, there should be a system in place where you can get yeeted from ownership. And guess what? Owners might be happy with that, because over the span of a half decade to a decade, yeah, they're not bringing in hundreds of $millions in pure revenue every single season, but their franchise is appreciating in value and they can still double or triple their initial investment. Come on, guys. There's also the franchise value. It's not just dollars in, dollars out with popcorn sales or chicken bucket sales. Just drives me crazy that the Dodgers continue to get vilified, even though after winning a World Series, they completely upgrade their clubhouse and then they sign a Blake Snell, and then the next year they win another World Series and then they bring in a Edwin Diaz. Like, that to me is sick. I wish my team did that. And again, I'm under the impression that me, a Guardians fan, I believe in my heart that if the owner, the billionaire Dolan, said, yeah, go do what the Dodgers are doing, I really feel like they could do it. Sure, it's risky, but they are allowed to do it. They just do not want to take on the risk. They are businessmen. And to their credit, businessmen do not like risk. It's that simple. They want a safe investment, and they're getting that when it comes to franchise values, and they're going to sell the team in 10 to 15 years and make absolute bank. That is the main fundamental problem in the game of baseball heading into the lockout for 2027. There are a ton of non-passionate owners who only care about Benjamins, and I'm not talking about Ben Rice. I'm not talking about him. Money. That's all they care about.